Well, hey folks, Real Honesty with Joe Mitlin. I'm Joe Mitlin, and these are my 10 best NWA Mid-Atlantic TV champions. And you saw my US champions based list. I will be doing some more old school champion based shows, like top 5 countdown, top 10 countdowns, whatever. And I could do ones on AWA. I could do ones about New Japan, IWGP Intercontinental title, or the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, which would be really interesting to talk about that one, considering there's been 65 champions. So yeah, that would be kind of interesting. But anyway, or he's a 65th champion. I think that's including people that have held it multiple times. But moving on. The NWA TV title was Workhorse title. It builds a lot of cool feuds. If it was like a 15, 30-minute time limit, whatever it was, they would always build the drama. If you wanted to get a babyface over and continue a feud, you could have it where like, oh, he hit this big move and he's almost got the win, and they're counting down like the time limit, and you go 1, 2, and the bell rings like right before the ref gets to 3, and that's really how you build some stuff. And even WCW went to, after Ted Turner bought it, has some really good TV champions, Arn Anderson and various others. And Arn Anderson will make an appearance on this list. And there were even some other really good TV champions until Jim Duggan found it in the trash after Scott Hall had thrown it in there. That was, I believe, in 99. Scott Hall had done that sometime in November of 99. And then Jim Duggan had found it in the trash like a bit later when he was a janitor. Whatever. But anyway, TV title did mean a whole lot. And here are 10 of my favorite champions. Nikita Koloff, number 10, 162 days, held it from August of 87 till January of 88. Only one reign. Only one reign as champion. I believe he did have to go care for his wife who had Parkinson's or some kind of disease. I believe she even died from it, which terribly unfortunate. It's got to be terrible to see a loved one pass away due to that. Due to anything, but especially due to a disease when you can't do anything about it. And there's Nikita Koloff interviews floating around where he's talked about that. And it's good to see that he's made some positive changes in his life and he seems to be doing well. And for a brief period, he was super over in wrestling, especially as a babyface. And he was over here, 162 days. It's nothing to sneeze at. Over 5 months, not quite 6. But still, he was pretty good. And it wasn't as good as his U.S. title run. That's why it ranks here at number 10 and, might have even been ranked at number 11. Might have been off the list had it not been for the fact that the guy that Nikita lost it to benefited greatly from it, which is number 9, Mike Rotunda, holding it for a combined 394 days. His first title reign began on Christmas Day of 1982, and his second reign began after he beat Nikita in January of 88. Just over 5 years, and they managed to do that. That's pretty damn cool. Mike Rotunda was super, super over in the NWA, and then went to Vince McMahon for a while. Was part of the U.S. Express and stuff like that. Then came back to Jim Crockett Promotions, and was used really well. Was a really, really good worker. Really good worker. I think a lot of people forget IRS was a good character, and he still could work really well despite the fact he was in basically slacks, suspenders, and he had the tie. Finally, somebody's grabbed that tie and, made him pay for it. Gorilla Monsoon doing that during the 1992 Rumble. But Mike Rotunda, one of the best singles wrestlers, especially in the 80s. He was damn good. He was a damn good worker. And he was still good into the 90s, don't get me wrong. But a lot of people forget his pre-IRS stuff was amazing. He was a great heel. Tremendous, but he could back it up in the ring, and that was what was great about it. So, good stuff. And Mike Rotunda holding for nearly 400 days between 2 reigns. Really good, and deserves a place on this list. Number 8, Baron von Raschke. Yeah, the AWA stalwart. Had time in the NWA also. And this was when he was a little more mobile. I mean, he wasn't really able to do all that much by the late 80s. But 2 reigns combined, 217 days. The reason mainly for this is mainly history. And this is part of like the stuff in the 70s. I just decided to do this, even though you could make the argument Rotunda between his 2 reigns should have been further up the list. This is my list. So I'm just going to rank stuff just for fun. And really, it's just 10 best. Until you get to the top 5, you could put any of these in any number of order. But Von Raschke winning it October 12th of 77, and again on March 26th of 78. He had some good runs with it. Sure, okay, not everything was not like he didn't hold it for super, super long. I think each reign was barely over 100 days. But he was a pretty damn good worker in his day. I mean, he wasn't great by the time cable TV came along because he'd been in the business for so many damn years by that point. He was broken down. But he deserves his place on this list for being a pretty good singles wrestler. Now we move on to number 7, the Great Kabuki, 185 days, just over 6 months. March 23rd, or May 23rd, rather, of 1983, and lost it at November 24th. Lost it on November 24th, 1983. Just one reign. Still, the Great Kabuki, yeah, maybe seeing him in World Class was... I mean, he was fine in World Class, but he'd been around for quite a bit. I did see him on a Canadian independent show like years and years ago that showed on a local cable access channel I had here, where I actually got introduced to Mauro Ranallo on commentary. It was Top Ranked Wrestling. And it was really cool that Mauro Ranallo was the announcer. Actually, he was pretty much the only reason that I tuned into that show, because I was like, I want to hear more from this guy. And it's so great to see Mauro Ranallo where he is now. I will try to watch the Showtime special that he's going to have on the 25th of this month. And I am recording this in May, obviously. So whenever this goes up, this may go up after the special, and I will try to have a review up of that if I can. But anyway, Great Kabuki, great talent, especially during this time. 6-month reign, really good stuff. Dusty Rhodes, 3 reigns and 227 days. Dusty Rhodes never had to hold the NWA title, the US title, the TV title for that long, because he could be super over regardless. And he was a great talent. Averaging out to just about, I believe, let's see, 80, no, not even 80, like 70, 77 days, whatever each or something like that. I mean, I'm trying to do the math like right in my head. Maybe it's, yeah, I think it's about 77, something like that. He really did work hard though, and he was a great TV champion. If you with Tully Blanchard over it, he won it in the span of like about a year and a half. He won it 3 times. March 16th, 1985, won it back. July 6th of 1985, and then won it again September 9th, 1986. And again, feuding with Tully Blanchard and various others over it. Him and Tully Blanchard had a great feud, by the way. And then number 5, Ric Flair. 253 days, 2 reigns, within like 2 years of each other, basically. February 18th, 1975, and April 4th, 1977. This was in between his times as U.S. champion also, where they were building up to him being the world champion, and he did really, really well. Did super well with it. Of course, he feuded with Ricky Steamboat, for Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat are always in lockstep and always having great feuds. I'm assuming that whenever they both pass on, which hopefully won't be for a number of years, imagine the matches that they'll have up there, or in the afterlife, or whatever you believe in. Ric Flair, 253 days though, he added a whole lot to the title. And between 2 reigns, good stuff. Really, Ric Flair, one of the greatest of all times. What else do you want me to say? Number 4, Arn Anderson. Now, I do want to clarify, Arn Anderson held the WCW TV Championship a lot more times once Ted Turner bought the company. But he gets 1 lone reign in the NWA. 248 days, that was January 4th, 1986 to September 9th, 1986, and he lost it to Dusty Rhodes. And Arn Anderson, one of the greatest to never win a world championship. One of the greatest. Period. End of story. I'm not saying that I won't listen to you guys make an argument, but I would be surprised if you were an old school fan that you could make an argument against Arn Anderson not being at least a short-term world champion. That guy was fucking tremendous. Unfortunately, an ill-timed surgery and a botched, and a doctor not doing his goddamn job led to Arn Anderson having to retire in 97. But during his prime, my God, the guy was just so smooth in the ring, could sell great, could make people look good, and that's just how great he was. That's how great Arn Anderson was, and his time as TV champion after Ted Turner bought the company makes this even better. If I included all that kind of stuff, I did do WCW TV champions on a countdown list way, way long ago. If you guys want that video and you don't want to search for it on my countdowns playlist, excuse me for my voice, I will be happy to send you the link on Twitter. You just let me know. Number 3, Ricky Steamboat. 255 days between 2 reigns. June 15th of 77 and June 10th of 79 is when he won both those. And come on, Ricky Steamboat. one of the best baby faces ever. In fact, that might be something that I have to talk about. Talking about like the 10 or the 25 best baby faces ever. But Ricky Steamboat, my God, just his brilliance in the ring, how good he was, how smooth he was. He made everything look so easy. The guy was just jacked to the gills, but was such a great baby face and such a smooth worker. He made everything look easy. And him and Ric Flair, Ricky Rick, not Richie Rich, could have matches almost with their eyes closed. That'd be stupid because you wouldn't want to bump into each other. They knew how each other was going to work. And Steamboat deserved these 2 reigns. It's funny that Ricky actually held the title for 2 days longer than Rick combined reigns. It's kind of funny. It was one of the few things that he actually holds a record over Rick. Jimmy Valiant is number 2. He was Charlie Brown, which was obviously Jimmy Valiant under a mask. 260 plus days. January 2nd of 1982, and he beat the Great Kabuki for the title for his second reign when he was Charlie Brown that day. I believe it was a time where he was supposed to be out of the territory, so he's under a mask, even though it was obviously Jimmy Valiant. And he had 2 reigns. His second one's sort of unrecognized, but I'm just going to include it here anyway. It's 260 plus days. And Jimmy Valiant, the super over, especially in the Carolinas. My God, he was over, and a really good worker, but really charismatic. And he could work any style, and he could work whether he was a babyface or a heel. But as a babyface, my God, super over, and deserves his place as number 2. Number 1, there can be only one. Tully Blanchard, 3 reigns, 685 days, a whopping 685 days. Won it between March 28th of 84. And I believe, November 27th, 1986, Tully Blanchard was just one of the best. Honest to God, one of the best mid-card champions ever. He could have probably been NWA champion short term. I don't know about as well as Arn, because I think Arn would have been a little more respected. Even though Tully was great, Tully could be a bit of a pill, according to interviews. He has cleaned up his life also and seems to be doing fine. And Tully Blanchard in the ring as a heel, my God, he was so entertaining. The stuff he could do in the ring. And the way his feud with Magnum TA over, I believe, the U.S. title. That's the stuff of legends. Starrcade 85, the I Quit match. But his time with the TV champion, he made it so credible. He could work. He could make it seem like the babyface is just about to win. And then, just squeezes by with it. But he was so good in the ring. And a great bumper. Great talker. Tully Blanchard deserves to be number 1 here. Considering you could combine a lot of these reigns, some of these reigns of, together, 2 of them, and still not come close to 685 days. So Tully Blanchard had to be number 1. That's what I gotta say. Agree, disagree with what I said? What are some champions that you want me to talk about in top 10 countdowns? Leave them in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter. I'll put my Twitter handle in the description. Like, share, subscribe also. It's been Real Honesty with Joe Ritlin. I'm Joe Ritlin. I will see you soon.